If you've been dreaming about a place where life feels a little more intentional, discover the Canopy in Sebastopol by City Ventures. This new community offers solar-powered homes, surrounded by mature trees, nature preserves, and walking trails, with a vibrant local downtown, renowned wineries, and the Bay Area all within easy reach. Enjoy low-maintenance living, refined design, and built-in eco-friendly features that make everyday life easier. Start your next chapter at the Canopy by City Ventures. Visit cityventures.com. That's cityventures.com.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did she have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Welcome to CJ Moneyway Media, a storytelling platform built brick by brick, where conversations become lessons and experiences become perspective. This is the mindset of a panther, moving with patience, discipline, and purpose. From podcasts to books to media storytelling, CJ Moneyway brings voices, journeys, and real conversations to the forefront. You're now listening to the CJ Moneyway Show.
How you doing today, Ralph, man?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, CJ.
Like I say, man, I appreciate you coming on, man, taking the time out your busy continental schedule, man. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we just don't have a guy that go from state to state. My man, Ralph, is continental, man. Hey, so that's a big thing. So, Ralph, man, let's jump right into this, man. Let me ask you a question. Origins of a world traveler, the spark. What inspired your passion to travel and do photographs?
Well, I've been very lucky to have been a traveler since in high school. I studied in Spain for a summer, and the next summer I was a volunteer in Venezuela. The next summer I volunteered in Peru, and the next summer I studied in Mexico City to learn Spanish. So from a fairly early age, I've always been a traveler. I've always enjoyed photography. And this was well before the dawn of digital photography. But I think, like a lot of other people, digital photography really allowed us to dive headfirst into this realm of photography. And it was so much simpler and cheaper in most cases. It was a new trend. And back early in 2001, 2002, I kind of saw this dawn of digital photography. And I thought that there might be a market for someone like me to teach people how to use their new digital cameras. And so that's what I did. And it started as a slow burn, but here I am 17 years later, full time, still doing this and going pretty strong.
Let me ask you, Ralph, man. So, like doing digital photography and things of that nature, what do you actually photograph? What is the main things that you photograph?
Yeah, well, as a travel photographer, I organize and lead tours around the world and have been doing this for about 17 years. And so, first of all, I started out just sitting across the kitchen table from someone one-on-one, teaching them how to use their new 1 megapixel camera. But then that gradually turned into half-day tours and then full days and weekends. And I was living in Southern California at the time, somewhere where I could do this full-time year-round. And even during the winter, we were, going all over Southern California, which is a beautiful place to photograph. But eventually I started bringing groups back to Chicago, my hometown. And then I started doing international tours. So, what got me started with the travel part, though, is having started doing it from a very young age, being just totally enamored with international cultures and people and learning about different cultures and places. And I just haven't stopped having that curiosity since.
Man, first, LA. I've never been to LA, big Laker fan, been a Laker fan since 1980. I know people get tired of me saying that, but it's true, and I'm not ashamed of it. So Southern California. I heard that it never rains in Southern California, so I know that that's a beautiful place to take pictures. But one thing that I do admire, man, that you said that in this journey that you were doing, you came back and started teaching this and doing it in Chicago, in your hometown, man. And that's cool. Where you built everything at, man, to come back and bring others along the way, you know what I'm saying, from your community, man. I think that's cool. So let me ask you, Ralph, man, the brand. How did the Continental DRIFTER name and platform come to life?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I started out with my business being all about me. It was RalphVelasco.com, and it was Ralph Velasco photo tours. And so early on, I realized that if I made the company all about me, if I ever wanted to bring other tour leaders or I want to sell the business, it might be difficult to do that. So I changed the company name to Photo Enrichment Adventures. And then I created a second brand called A La Campagna Experiences right before COVID. And this was a different type of trip. So the Photo Enrichment Adventures were more photography focused and more, let's see a little bit of a lot in a region or country. Where A La Campagna Experiences were more about doing a deep dive into a place. So staying a week, maybe in one, maybe two locations where we do a deep dive, pack and unpack once. So to make a long story longer, I was confusing my customers even more because if you recall, I had three brands, Photo Enrichment Adventures, A La Campagna Experiences, and then I started thinking about Continental DRIFTER because I was going to start actually hosting a TV show. And I thought, what a great name for a TV show, the Continental DRIFTER. And so I trademarked the name and registered it. And so now everything folded underneath the Continental DRIFTER umbrella. And so Photo Enrichment Adventures, A La Campagna Experiences are behind me, and we're all Continental DRIFTER at this point.
Man, I like that. I like that. You know, I've been working on my umbrella too, the CJ Moneyway Entertainment. And like you say, everything else just falls under that umbrella, man. And it takes a while to come up with that concept, to think about things, you know, and things of that nature. Like you say, we be all over, you know, say you got so many ideas. But one thing I've learned from somebody once before, man, he said this, Ralph. He said that you got to have pockets. And what I mean by pockets is like we got so many ideas. And so you got to have pockets for all these different type of ideas, because if not, then we can put all these ideas together that don't go together. And so if I got an idea here, I got an idea here, and I can come back. I say, you know what? This may go with that. You know what I'm saying? Or this may go with this, because as creators and things of that nature, man, we have so many things that's built up. We got to make first thing first, because we could be working on a lot of different things and then try to do multiple things at one time. But I talked to a young lady when I first started. She said, make the first thing first. You know what I'm saying? And then you keep everything else on the side and then work on that as you go along. So yeah, man, so that's cool.
I could have called my business Chase the Shiny Objects Incorporated, you know, because every time you get an idea, you just want to go after it. I know what you mean.
You do, man. I love that name, man. Continental DRIFTERS. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, hey, y'all, we're not working with somebody. I'm not talking to somebody that's just a worldwide, man, or just local. This man is a continental advocate, man. My man, Ralph. So, Ralph, man, let me ask you, man. Building a dream career around travel, living location free, what has it been like living without a permanent home for 12 plus years?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it is an ideal life, but like anything else, there are pros and cons to it. So, you know, I'll tell you when I chose to become what's come to be called location independent or digital nomad. About 12, 13 years ago now, I was in Toledo, Spain, and I was walking through the town, dragging my bigger suitcase, and I had my little backpack on. And I'd been on the road for about 2.5 months at that point. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, I've survived 2.5 months with just these 2 bags. More do I really need, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I started thinking about all these stuff that I have, you know, CDs and books and things that I don't need. So I really started getting into this minimalist idea of getting rid of stuff and starting to accumulate experiences. And that's just been a change in my life. That was definitely a turning point when I started thinking about accumulating experiences and memories instead of things. And so that was a big deal.
I like that. Experience memories instead of things. That's a whole nother subject right there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not about the things that a man obtains. You know what I'm saying? Or the wealth that you get. That ain't what get us there, man. There's other things in life. Like you say, memories is one of them, man. So let me ask you, Ralph, man, getting paid to travel. Now, this the good part of it. You've created and led over 120 international tours. How did you turn that into a business model?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, it was a slow burn. So starting out just sitting across the kitchen table from someone, going over their camera from top to bottom, teaching them all the dials and buttons and settings, especially 20, 25 years ago when digital photography was just sort of being born, really. And no one knew anything about these devices. So I had to learn pretty quickly to be able to teach it. One thing maybe your listeners can benefit from, one thing I did was I started teaching I was living in Southern California at the time, city where they might have adult education programs and, yoga and photography and who knows what.
Yeah.
But that's a great way to test your business idea if it's something that you can put into, say, an adult education class. So I decided back then to create a course that was about teaching people how to see, not just using the camera, but what to point it at, what makes a good photograph, composition, lighting, things like that. So I really enjoyed teaching the creative part of it, not the buttons and dial stuff. So that was a great way to validate my idea, was to learn how to market where people going to sign up, which is kind of funny to say. But these are places that you don't need any kind of teaching degree. So anyone can create a course, and if it's accepted, you can teach it, test your idea, start to build a following. I was able to practice, learning how to teach this subject. And as you teach, you learn, of course. So that was a great way to go about it for me.
Man, I like that. Get a teaching course and go out there and just test it and see where it goes. Let me ask you, Ralph, man, on that course creation, can you tell us more about your tour organizer training and how others can break into this space?
Yeah, so the tour organizer training is an online course that I created. It's 7 modules and 27 lessons within that. But I started getting asked by a lot of people, how can I do what you do? You seem to live the ultimate life, traveling around the world, getting paid to travel. So I created a course called a Tour Organizer Training, Get Paid to Travel. So this is available. It's on my website at continentaldrifter.co. But I wanted to show people from soup to nuts what it takes to organize and lead a tour. And one of the first tips was that you should create your trips around a special interest. And mine was initially photography. Now it's sort of morphed into some photography, but more about food and wine and culture and learning about the locals and things like that. So that's kind of how it's progressed. And now the trips are, like I said, just kind of 1, maybe 2 locations instead of moving around a whole region or country.
Well, man, you taught 125 international courses, man. Of course, you could just go to a couple of them nowadays, 2 at a time. You put in the hard work. But you say you laid the foundation, man, and that's the most important part. So let me ask you, man, before I get into this next section, we talked about this offline. Tell us a little bit about Bitcoin, man, and how did you get into that?
Yeah, so Bitcoin, I started this company, and the idea for it was when I was here in Chicago and I owned a restaurant. And I decided that I couldn't probably run that type of an outdoor business in Chicago all year round because of the weather. So I decided to move to Southern California. So to do that, I needed some kind of an income. So I became a financial advisor. And I was working for a friend of mine who had a firm out in Southern California. So I worked for him. So I got my licenses. So I love investments, things like that. But when Bitcoin came on my radar, actually about 8-9 years ago, I was trying to figure out how to create a wallet, how to buy it. It was very difficult back then. So I gave up, and it was at 4,000 a coin back then. Now it's over 90,000 a coin. Now I did get in 4 years ago, but still I missed out on that huge run up from 4,000 to 90,000, but I'm doing okay. Bitcoin is just an incredibly hard and safe form of money. It's like a digital gold. So it's less of a currency than it is a store of value. And it's taken a little bit of a hit over the past couple months, and it was kind of in the low 80,000s per coin. And you don't have to buy a whole coin. And don't let anyone ever sell you an actual coin, because of course this is all digital money. You see these videos where it looks like there's a Bitcoin, an actual coin, but don't ever let anyone sell you a coin and charge you $90,000. But the thing I was going to mention is that you can buy any fraction of that. So you don't have to come up with $90,000 to buy a full coin. You could buy $10, $100 worth, dollar cost average into it. So, put $100 a week, $100 a month, whatever, and just slowly get into it. But I absolutely think it's where it's going. Governments are starting to hold Bitcoin. I just heard that Russia was paying China for something in Bitcoin. Now we've got a pro-Bitcoin president and government. So everything's heading in the right direction for this to go from 90,000 a coin to 1 million or more over the next 5 to 10 years. Now, this isn't an overnight get rich quick scheme at all. It's a get rich slowly type of thing. But I would recommend that people especially look up a gentleman named Michael Saylor, who Saylor. If you look up any videos of his on YouTube, he is the absolute guru, incredible at explaining what's involved. It's really incredible movement.
You told me more about Bitcoin than I've learned about it, especially with the value, $10, $100 here and there. But when Bitcoin came to my mind is when the football player, he was playing for the Rams at the time, the receiver, Odell Beckham. He wanted his salary, his whole salary. We talking millions of dollars.
Yes.
His whole salary to be paid to him in Bitcoin. And everybody thought that he was crazy and stupid at the time for doing something like that. But he was the one laughing all the way to the bank, man.
I bet he's at least double his money. That was brilliant.
I think, at that time, maybe $12, $15 million and, going to Bitcoin. And you say, it's $90,000 a coin or something? And it maybe was a little cheaper to buy in, by the time he did it, probably about 4 or 5 years ago when the Rams won the Super Bowl. So, yeah, man, big shout out to you, Odell, man. You was ahead of a lot of us, man. So thanks for that explanation, Ralph, man. So let me ask you, Ralph, man, behind the lenses, what are your best tips for travel photographics, even for beginners?
Yeah, so I've got some tips that anyone can use with any kind of camera, smartphone, anything. And as I mentioned earlier, I was very interested in teaching people what to point the camera at, how to frame a shot. It's just as important what's in the frame as what's outside of the frame, what you cut out. So to me, one of the most important things is being aware of your backgrounds. And right now, I'm not in the most ideal background. So you can see that this frame is coming through my head here behind me. That's just the way that the basement studio is set up here. Can't get it any higher. But normally I would want to be something like this, right? Where it's more framed instead of this thing coming through my head here. And so if you're watching the video, you'll see that there's this map behind me, but the frame's coming through my head. So always be aware of what's happening behind and in front of your subject. Is that proverbial telephone pole sticking out of the person's head? Is something happening in front of them that's distracting? So sometimes we get focused so much on the person or the subject, we forget what's happening in front or behind them. The other thing is being aware of the quality and direction of light falling on your subject. Is the light coming from behind and their face is all in shadow? Or are there harsh shadows underneath the nose and the chin? So being aware of those things, that just looking deeper into the scene and how you might be able to correct that. Can you turn the person so they're now facing towards the sun? Can you take them out of the sun and put them into the shade where the light is more even? Things like that we don't.
If you've been dreaming about a place where life feels a little more intentional, discover the Canopy in Sebastopol by City Ventures. This new community offers solar-powered homes surrounded by mature trees, nature preserves, and walking trails, with a vibrant local downtown, renowned wineries, and the Bay Area all within easy reach. Enjoy low-maintenance living, refined design, and built-in eco-friendly features that make everyday life easier. Start your next chapter at the Canopy by City Ventures. Visit cityventures.com. That's cityventures.com.
Often think about, but that are easily fixed right then and there. It's not even really a camera setting. It's just moving around or moving your subject. So those are two really easy tips that anyone can do with any kind of camera.
This episode is brought to you by CJ Moneyway Media, where podcast ideas become platforms. Through the Moneyway Lab Masterclass, CJ shares real lessons from the lab for creators building their voices brick by brick. From powerful guest conversations to storytelling that inspires growth. CJ Moneyway Media is about one thing, building legacy through stories. Learn more at cjmoneyway.com.
Music style.
Music style.
Hey, G. Smith, Donovan, I know you guys doing your thing, man, but Ralph got some tips for you, man. Ralph got some tips. I got a couple partners that do this, and have took some professional photos of me, myself, in some aspects. But, man, it's always good to learn from a pro who in Continental, man. You know what I'm saying? I get the map. I see you, Ralph. I see you, man. That's Continental right there. Continental living, brick by brick on the Moneyway show. So, Ralph, man, let me ask you, man, mindful travel. You've written books on travel affirmations and gratitude. How does mindfulness evaluate the travel experience?
Yeah, this is something that since I was on that trip to Peru back when I was 16 years old, and one of our teachers on the trip, we were 16-year-old boys. We were kind of complaining a little bit about missing our mother's food and our beds and our friends and family back home, because we were literally on the other side of the world in Peru in South America at 16 years old. And one of the professors said, guys, be here now. You have the most incredible opportunity to be literally on the other side of the world, to learn from these people, to get their perspectives, see how they live, learn from them. Be here now, appreciate the moment. And so that always stuck with me. But as a young person, we are all about trying to see and do and experience as much as possible. And that's wonderful. And that's one of the great things about youth. But as we get older, or as I get older, I should say, I am much more appreciative about slowing down, about slow travel, and not trying to just tick items off of a bucket list. To me, it's about experiences again, and doing a deep dive into a place as opposed to seeing a little bit of a lot. I'm much more interested in seeing a lot of a little. And, an example of that is just sitting in a cafe watching the world go by somewhere. And this can be in your own hometown. You don't have to be halfway around the world. But sitting on a bar stool in Great Britain, and that bar stool is older than the United States of America, and I'm sitting there talking to some old timer, having a beer and, chatting them up. So something like that, that's just experiences and being more about enjoying where we are. These digital devices, smartphones are fantastic. And, I love mine. Don't take it away from me. But they're made to take us away from where we are. They're great for that. You're watching a TV show, you want to look up some actor or, where this scene was made. The information is in your pocket, but it immediately takes you away from where you are. So I wrote a book. My first book I wrote was subtitled 101 Tips for Developing Your Photographic Eye and More. And the last tip in the book is put the camera down. And I thought that should maybe be the first tip in the book, because as a photographer, I'm one of the worst because I tend to go through these trips. I realized about midway through my career as a travel photographer, international tour organizer, that I was going through these trips with my eye to the viewfinder. And I was getting some great shots, but I was there physically. I've got the passport stamps, I've got the receipts, the pictures and video, but was I there mentally? And so I'm really big on this idea of putting the phone down, turning it off, or set a timer for every hour or two, whether you're traveling or not, for it to remind you to just stop, look, listen, feel, touch, taste your surroundings. And again, that doesn't have to be halfway around the world. It could be in your own backyard. It's about appreciation, gratitude. So that's why I wrote the books, was to get that across. The books are, one is 60 affirmations for travel. So it's got some adult coloring pages in there, lined pages for notes that you can write for yourself. It's sort of a journal. I wrote a travel activity book for adults that does have more things like crossword puzzles, word searches, all having to do with travel, but also inspirational quotes, mandalas, which are adult coloring pages, things like that. And then recently I wrote something called How to Be a Mindful and Intentional Traveler, or How to Be a Mindful Traveler. And this is deepening your travel experiences through the 5+ senses. And I just mentioned that. So taking these places in through the 5 senses and doing that intentionally, it's very important, the intentionality, because if you're multitasking while you're doing it, you're probably not doing anything well. I'm great at multitasking. I could watch TV and eat and be on my phone at the same time, listen to a podcast, but I'm not doing any of them well. And that's the key.
Yeah. I like that. I could do that too. For one, I can't eat without reading. I'm just not comfortable without reading. I have to read while I'm eating. Yeah. And so sometimes that's why I can't eat when we go out in different places, or, may go to a party here and there, because I just like to be comfortable in my own spot. But you said something about the 5 senses, and I want people to listen to this, especially those who drive a lot. Put the phone down while you're driving, man. Pay attention to, as Ralph said, to your surroundings. I think that has become an issue with drivers on the highway, wherever, man. Everybody just want to be on their phones. Like you say, these phones, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. But man, people on these phones and they driving, they're not paying attention to the road. Pay attention to your surroundings, man. For real, for real. So let me ask you, Ralph, man, you mentioned this earlier. From being a restaurant owner to global storyteller, food and travel as a 3rd-generation restaurateur, how do you blend this into your tours?
Yeah, so obviously we all eat, and hopefully 3 meals a day. I know I do. I'm very lucky in that sense. But when we're traveling, especially with my background from being a 3rd-generation restaurateur, food's been very important in my life. I don't know if I call myself a foodie, but I enjoy food. And I love to try anything. I'll try anything twice, I say. When it comes to food, I've eaten tarantulas in Cambodia and water bugs and putrefied shark and just crazy stuff. I'm still here. But I think food is such an important part of travel because, number one, I go to some of the world's great countries with amazing cuisines like Turkey, Spain, Portugal, Italy, France, Mexico. I mean, every country has its, plate dishes and certain ways of cooking. But I love to bring my groups to market walks. So wet markets, the food markets, produce, see all the new and exotic fruits and vegetables that we've never seen before. Let's try them. Let's taste them. Gosh, I love to turn people on to different things that they've never tried before, and they almost always fall in love with it. So food is such a universal thing, and it's such a great way to explore a place that I love to incorporate it into my trips. And there's also food and wine tastings. Let's see how they make the local cheese, walnut oil, olive oil. We go caviar tasting. It's not expensive. And we go to the caviar farm in southwestern France where they actually grow the sturgeon to make the caviar. It's phenomenal. So those kinds of things are the experiences that I just love to share with my clients. That's what I really get off on, is going to these places, learning about them, doing these things, and then bringing my groups back to see it through their eyes and through their experience.
Now, I would say this, Ralph. The most exotic food I have tried alligator. Me and my wife just went to New Orleans for our anniversary in December. First time trying fried oysters. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
But one thing I don't think I'm going to try, Ralph, as you just said, I don't think I'm going to try no water bugs, man. I don't think I could.
But tarantulas are okay?
Yeah. I don't know, man. You got an exquisite taste there, Ralph. But see, I ain't never been to France or Britain either, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. You know what? I have been to Jamaica.
All right.
And I tell you what, you eat goat meat in Jamaica, and you eating goat in Jamaica, it's so good you don't even know that you eating goat. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. So it was pretty good. And so when we came home, at home, and I was working at the casino, and we have potluck sometimes or whatever. And so people bring in different variety of stuff, and they bring in some goat meat and things of that nature. Now, like I said, I ate goat meat in Jamaica, but now we in America. Now you bring some goat meat.
Yeah, you even find it.
I don't know, man. So, just got one more question for you, Ralph, man. Then I want to do a quick fire round. And my quick fire round, I've been doing this since the beginning of the year. And, I think the guest and the audience has been enjoying this part of the segment.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you 5 questions. And you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. So, but before I get there, let me ask you, man, the storyteller. How does your podcast, Travel Thoughts from a Continental Drifter, help deepen the connection with your audience?
Well, with that podcast, it's been about sort of travel tips, talking about money and electronics and things like that. And so that's a podcast that I haven't put out in a while, but typically on other people's podcasts. I've had podcasts in the past of my own, but I'm all about helping people to travel easier, more safely, and less expensively. So that's what I try to get across in almost everything I do.
Well, I want to holler at you because I definitely want to learn how to travel less expensively. You best to believe that. Hey, so Ralph, man, so you ready for this quick fire round, man?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Here we go. Favorite destination you've ever visited?
If I had to choose one, I would say Spain.
Spain
is
good.
Absolutely fabulous. And I just feel at home there. I have some Spanish roots, but I love the food, the people, the culture, just everything about it is wonderful. I'm going in about 2 weeks and I cannot wait.
How did I know that you were going to say something about you love the food there? I thought maybe you would say soccer because I heard that's real big there with Messi and all that. He said the food, the tarantula. Anyway, must-have item on your carry-on.
Just off the top of my head, I would say earphones. So like AirPods or something like that, because I fly and, I'm on buses and transportation a lot. So I do like to put in ear pods and just either listen to music or podcasts or zone out or white noise. One thing I'll recommend is, because I'm all over the world, I'm on different time zones, I'm constantly jet lagged, I'm awake in the middle of the night, I'm trying to sleep during the middle of the day. And so using a white noise app, which if you're not familiar with it, it's just a sound like, like a fan. A lot of people like to sleep with a fan. And so I like to put that on either in my ear pods or, just sitting on the side of the night table. And that drowns out most of the noises that would wake me up. It kind of evens out the noises. So that's AirPods and a white noise app I highly recommend.
I like AirPods, white noise app. Get that. The one book you recommend to travelers?
Ooh. Well, two of my favorite books are Cosmos by Carl Sagan. That's about space. That's space travel. But also another one is Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond. And that's about how guns, germs, and steel transformed our world, especially in South America, like when the Spanish conquistadors went down there and ravaged everything. But with their guns, the germs that they brought, and the steel of their swords, something like 80 men conquered the Incan civilization. And so it's just super fascinating stuff. So I love that stuff. It's somewhat related to travel, but those are two of my favorite books.
So let me ask you, Ralph, man, before we go any farther, you said travel in space. You were talking about the one book, Cosmo. So are you thinking about getting on SpaceX or something one day, man? You want to take that ride like that?
I don't think so. I mean, I have my pilot's license, but very, very different to going into space. But yeah, no, I'm super claustrophobic. I can't imagine just sitting on the launch pad in some little seat like this and like getting ready to blast off with 50,000 megatons of power behind you. Yeah, that I don't know if I would do that.
Nah, you said you don't know if you would do that. I know for a fact.
You know. Right? I mean, you're with me.
I know for a fact. I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how much money I got. I don't want to go to space that bad. No, I'm not doing that. Yeah. And be stuck up there like them astronauts was for 9 months.
Oh, my God.
No way, Jose.
I like it down here.
Hey, keep me where I'm at, man. I like ground level. I work in the industrial industry. I don't even like going up to cranes and stuff like that. I don't like the heights like that. So your boy going to Mars, not gonna happen. Most unforgettable travel memory.
One story that I often bring up, I'll try to tell it very quickly, is I got to Georgia, the Republic of Georgia. It's a country in the Caucasus near Russia, Turkey, Armenia. And I just landed there. And my local guide was picking me up at the airport. First time I'd ever been there. Young woman in her 30s. And I could tell she was driving sort of very cautiously and trepidatious and, maybe hadn't driven too much. And so maybe she could see me holding on to the seat or something. But she said, "Hey, Ralph, don't worry about it. Tomorrow, my dad's going to drive us around," because I was there scouting and she was going to show me around the area what things we could put on the tour. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, thank God, So then her father comes and drives, and he's worse than she is. Oh my God. It's hard to explain, but have you ever seen someone who slows down to pass someone and speeds up when someone tries to pass them?
Man.
Picture that. So it was like that. And I was just, so we were supposed to go 2 full days with him. And I made an excuse for the next day. I couldn't handle it. I was just afraid for my life. And so I made an excuse to get out of the next day. Anyway, make a long story even longer. They were driving me at the end of the trip to the border of Armenia, where I was going to meet my Armenian guide to go there. And so they drove me to the border. They dropped me off. They say, we'll wait out here 10, 15 minutes for you to get through the passport control. If anything goes wrong, we'll still be here. So I get up to passport control. I slide the man my passport, and he says, "Do do you have a visa for travel to Azerbaijan? I said, I'm going to Armenia. He says, this is the Azerbaijan border. So they took me to the wrong border crossing.
Wow.
So here I am, thinking, oh my God, I'm out of this car. I'm done with this man.
Wow.
And I had to go another 45 minutes with them to the Armenian border and go across there. So it was just a kind of a funny story where these things just kept happening one after the other. But I did finally get out of there.
Man, I know what you mean. I mean, I said I've been to Jamaica and ate goat meat. We went to the grill. So you think probably like 2-3 hours away from when you get off by Montego Bay.
Uh-huh.
Now, if I ever go again, I'm going to Montego Bay because that bus ride to to the grill, like you say, man, that was the scariest bus ride I've ever had in my life. You was getting whiplash back there, man. I mean, like you say, they going, because they drive on the other side of the street.
Oh, that's right.
So they passing cars up, going around curves, and they flying, and like, how do you know something not coming? Oh man, it was the scariest thing ever, man. Nothing against Jamaica, but if I ever go again, I'm going to Montego Bay, where I don't have to travel. All you gotta do is get out of the airport, and you right there. They got Kentucky Fried Chicken, they got Burger King, and everything right there on the strip.
That's a good tip.
That's one to grow on. Hey, so my last one, Ralph, man. Word or mantra you live by on the road?
I would say be here now. I would bring that back up. I'm constantly trying to bring myself back to now. The past is behind us. We can't do anything about it. The future's in front of us. It never really gets here. Someday never comes. Mm-hmm. All we have is now. So how are we going to make the best of now?
I like that. How are we going to make the best of now? Ralph, thank you, man, for taking us on an unforgettable journey today, from your global adventure to your wisdom about mindfulness, photography, and entrepreneurship. You've given us so much to reflect on. To our listeners, if you ever dream of getting paid to travel or want to experience the world with more purpose and presence, go follow Ralph at Continental DRIFTER.co and check out his podcast that he haven't released in a while, but he throw out some good nuggets, and his books. And don't forget, this is more than just a podcast. This is a movement, from the CJ Moneyway Show to GI, the state's capital, and planting seeds with CJ. We're building a platform for success, creativity, and impact. Until next time, stay curious, stay intentional. Wait a minute, I forgot. Ralph, tell us again, man, where can we find you at on social media, man?
Yeah, look for me at Ralph Velasco, and you can find my website, continentaldrifter.co, where everything is there. And I also organize trips for people that are looking to travel on their own dates. So if you want a custom tour, I can do that as well.
Now I can close it. Until next time, stay curious, stay intentional, and remember, you're just one decision away from your next big adventure. Now, if you're going to eat tarantula, that's on you. But your boy CJ Moneyway ain't eating no tarantula. Hey, this is your boy CJ and Ralph. We out of here. Peace.
You've been listening to the CJ Moneyway Show. Where real stories, real lessons, and real perspective come together. Remember, move with patience, move with purpose. That is the mindset of a panther. Until next time, keep building your legacy, brick by brick by brick by brick.
Music style.
If you've been dreaming about a place where life feels a little more intentional, discover the Canopy in Sebastopol by City Ventures. This new community offers solar-powered homes, surrounded by mature trees, nature preserves, and walking trails, with a vibrant local downtown, renowned wineries, and the Bay Area all within easy reach. Enjoy low-maintenance living, refined design, and built-in eco-friendly features that make everyday life easier. Start your next chapter at the Canopy by City Ventures. Visit cityventures.com. That's cityventures.com.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.